Okay, my name is Prosper, and welcome back to this particular front-end web development course. So from the previous lesson, we've spoken about a couple things, and this is just a continuation of the previous class. So we'll be looking at the HTML basics example. In this chapter, we will show some basic HTML example. Don't worry if we use tags you are not familiar with or you've not learned yet. So all HTML must start with documents must start with the document type, which already know this. Then the HTML itself begins with the HTML tag and ends with this. The visible part of the HTML document is between the body. We already know this. We've seen this as well. That's just the basics. Then further to explain this, the declaration represents the document type and helps the browser to display web correctly. It must only appear once at the top of the page before any HTML tags. And declaration is not case sensitive. What it means that it's not case sensitive, and the declaration is HTML5. This is the declaration, and what it means that it is not case sensitive. If we go back to this, whether we type it in capital letter or we come and type it in this manner, or I come and type it in doc type this way, it's still going to show on the browser correctly. So it is not case sensitive. However, it is recommended by so many developers that you use the uppercase. But if you're using the lower cases for this instance, it is not sensitive. The browser is not sensitive to that change. It still gives you what it needs to give you. Then for the header, now let's look at HTML heading are defined by H1 to H6. We mentioned this earlier. Then H1 defines the most important heading, defines, and why H6 defines the least important. So let's go and look at this in our browser. Let me just copy this and take it to our browser. Let me clear this once. Let me clear this and paste this. So pasting this, we'll see H1. This is my heading 1, this is my heading 2, and this is my heading 3. Now let's look at how this is going to be presented on our web browser. So when I come here and refresh, you'll see that this is the most important, which is the larger, then this it follows it, why this also. So if I should go ahead and add, H4, I go ahead to add H4, sorry, I'm still in cap log. Let me just remove this. So let me add H4 and write this. This is heading 4, and do the same for H5. This is heading 5, and of course, which is the last, H6, and this is heading 6. Now let's save this and look at what it gives us on our web browser. If I refresh this, you could see how this has moved from the most important to the least important. So this is what the heading tag is for, defining sizes of text. It defines the size of text. However, when we get to styling, when we get to CSS, we can also look at different ways we can use in styling a bigger text, or reducing a text, or making the text more bolder, or to emphasize on the text, and do many things with CSS. But then for this level, this is what we are going to be using in order for us to define the size of texts. So we have seen the paragraph, we have seen what the paragraph is, and I told you the paragraph is basically taking the size of the web page itself, which is 16 pixel. And the HTML link defines a H tag, an A tag. Now, what does this mean? What does this mean? Let's get to this. Let me delete this and show you what it means. So the HTML link is defined in an A tag. So this is our A tag. This is our A tag. This is our A tag, and in this A tag is where we can. This A tag shows link. What do we mean by link? You can, when we get to any, let me use Jumia again as an example. When we open Jumia, you could see that when I click on this, or let me say I click on this particular item, you could see that it takes me to another page. What has given that particular what has given me that particular authority to move from one page to another is a link. And the link is defined with the A tag. I hope you understand that. And now the link being defined under H tag, it doesn't just mean that when you put an A tag, it's going to take you to. Now the link needs what we call reference. It needs a reference that is going to help you to move from one particular page to another. Now let's look at this. The link destination is specified in the href attributes. Now these attributes are usually are used to provide additional information about HTML elements. You will learn more about attributes in later chapter. Yes, you will. And I'll also go ahead to just explain this for you. So now in the A tag, now inside the beginning, the start tag. Now this is the end tag and this is the start tag. Now inside the start tag, just after the A, let's give a space. And in the space we have the href attributes. Now this href attribute, you can put in a comma sign, and it is going, and also a quotation sign. But like I told you, Visual Studio is always going to complete this for you. And now inside this quote is where you now add a link to whatever page you want this file to take you to. Whatever page you want this file to take you to is where you now add a link. So for this example, let me just add let me say, So let me just go back to our web browser and Jumia. I'm going to copy this particular link. Now there is what we call external. We have absolute and relative link, but we are going to, I don't want you to worry yourself about this. I am going to take you through, I'm going to take you through this in the course of this course, through the process of this course. Okay, so right now I just want to show you how to link another web page to your HTML file. You can do that internally and you can do that externally. That is where we have to talk about relative links and absolute link. So what we are doing now is an external linking, which is called an absolute linking. Then we have a relative where it is you are linking a file within your HTML folder as well. But you don't need to worry about this if this is confusing to you. I am going to take you through this in the course, in the process of this course. But for now, let me copy this and go back to my Visual Studio Code and paste this in here. Now, once I've pasted this in here, now understand something. This is just inside. This is just inside the start tag. We don't have a content yet. Remember, a content has to come in between the start tag and the end tag. So what we are going to have, if I refresh this on my browser, you will see that there is nothing showing. Why? Is because I have not actually added a content inside here. So let me say I add this is my Jumia page, right? Then I save this and go to the web browser. And I'm going to see this is my Jumia page. I don't know if you can see this, but you're going to see this is my Jumia page. And this is coming with an underline, and it's coming with an underline. And this underline simply means that this is a link and it's clickable. Now, one thing you should also see is that if I hover my mouse around here, you're going to see a pointer showing that this is a link that needs to be clicked. If I take it away from here, it turns back to an arrow. But when I take it here, it turns to a finger wanting wants to click. It's showing that you need to click this. And once I click on it, you see it brings me to this page. Do we understand? Now, when I clicked on it, it brought me to this page. This is because I have actually linked this file to this a tag in my HTML, and it is also showing on my, let me go back, it is also showing on my browser here. So when I click on it, it's going to bring me to this page. And there is what we call the parent page linking, and we have the self page linking. We'll learn about that. And what that simply means is when I click on this, we could see that it is opening on this same tab, right? On this same tab. There's a way that I can also click that to open on a different tab again. It don't need to open on this particular tab. It's to open a new space and open on the next tab. So, but this is what we are going to learn through the process of the course. So just stay with me. So this is how we can also link a file. And this is not, I linked something externally. We can also link, let's say I have another page, another HTML page, another HTML page, another HTML page that I've created. We can always put in those links. We can connect those links in this href such that when someone clicks on this first link, it is going to open in the next HTML file that you've created. I hope that is understandable enough. But if you don't understand, stay with me as I'm going to put you through everything bit after bit. So that is how you can link this is how you can link a particular page, a web page in your HTML using the href attribute. Then let's talk about linking an image. Now, when you're linking an image as well, it's just something similar to what we've done with the a tag. But when linking an image, there are other things you need to look out for. So let's go back to our Visual Studio Code and let's see if we can link an image. All right, so when we want to link an image, what we should first consider is a tag. And for the image tag, we have the opening tag, and we have ing for image. And when we close it, now look at something with the image. Now there are a couple other tags that do not have a closing tag, and the Visual Studio and also the HTML document doc type does not really recommend or does not demand a closing tag for these specific tags, and the image tag is one of them. However, in the image tag, when we get into the image tag inside the tag, we'll see just after we can give a space. Now, in order for us to connect a particular image or to add an image to our HTML file, this is what we need. We need the image tag as well. And in the image tag, there are things we should actually look out for. And the things we should look out for are simply the source, alternative width, and the height. Now, what the source does is that the source connects just the same way that the href for link connects you to another page. What the source for image does is that it connects you to the source of where your image is. So what image do you want to use? This is where the source connects you to. Then for alternative text, I would go ahead to explain that. So let me go and type in source, which is SRC, then hit enter. It's going to complete that for you. Then this is where you have your image. But how do you now bring in an image? Now let's go back to our home and look at this. Inside this our folder, there are different ways you can connect. There are different ways you can actually connect your images to your HTML file. You can connect it externally to using a let me just say image of a bird. Let me use a bird as an example, a bird flying. Right now, this is an image of a bird flying. So let me just open one of these. Now, opening one of these now, we can look at the share. we can look at share or save, or we can just hover around here and look at the link, copy link address, right? Now, when we copy this link address, we can go back to our file. Then we, in between this, we can now paste this. Sorry that this is long. Sorry that this is long, but we can now paste this. I'm going to look for a shorter one. But when we paste this, let's save this and look at what it looks like on our front end page. Let me refresh this. Now, refreshing this, we could see the image is here. However, the image is displaying as a broken image. Now, why this happens is because this always happens if this image is not from a source that is within your HTML folder. It happens this way if it's not a defined source that is within your HTML folder. So in order for us to do this accurately, what we can do is, let me delete this. What we can do is go to this particular flying bed. What I can do is to save this image. I'm going to go ahead to save this image in, let me just rename it as bed flying. So I'm supposed to save it in my picture. I'm supposed to save it in my picture gallery, but I'll just go ahead to my desktop since I have a folder there that has our front end course. So I'm just going to save this image inside there. So now this image is being saved inside this. You can see a bed flying. It is being saved here. Now the best way we can now attach this image to our HTML file is coming here and adding a slash. When you add in a slash, it will bring out anything that you need to add on your HTML file, and it's bringing out this. Now when we see it's bringing out this, and it's also bringing the extension of JFIF. It's showing the extension of this particular image. Some of the images you will see JPEG like this. You see JPEG. Some of the image you see PNG, and so forth and so forth. These are the extension that comes with. But I would advise that you always use the extension that comes with the image in order for you not to have an error or to have something like this as well, this break. So once we've done this, let's go back to saving this as JFIF just as it came. Now we've saved this. Let's go back. Let's save this and go back to our page and see. So we are still having this error. We are still having this error. And why? So let's look at the reason why we're having this particular error. Okay, now sorry, there's something I didn't. When we actually have that slash is basically to bring out. That's a mistake I did. That slash is actually to bring out the files on that. But after you've indicated these files, it is advised that you take away the slash. You take away the slash, then save your file. And this is our bed flying. This is our bed flying already, but this has already occupied the entire space. This has occupied the entire web page. And why it has occupied this particular web page is simply because we have not indicated this. We've not added the width and the height of this particular image which we just added. So what is the alternative text for? So let's say we have an error, just as we had an error before. The alternative text is to tell you alt. Let's have an alt. This is how it is being written, an alternative text. This is to tell you if the image doesn't display properly, what is there. What is there that has not been displayed properly, just in case there is an error in the image, just as we had. You see that broken image there that we've had. This alternative text now tells you what was there. So let's look at this. We could look at as it's written as alternative. So let me say a bed, a bed flying, or a flying bed, a flying bed. This gives further information of what we have there when there is an error. Let's save this and go back to our page. If I resume this, it's still going to show this because there is no error. But let me add an error to this source. Let me add this error to it, then save this file. Then let's go back to our HTML file. Now you could see that I've added an error to this. I've added an error, and now you could see that it is showing a broken image. That means our bed is not displaying there. But since our bed is not displaying there, it is also showing the flying bed, which we've indicated as an alternative here. I hope that is clear enough. And now what do we have? After that, we also have the width and the height as well. So they are part of the image tag. These are part of the attributes that is indicated in the image tag. And let's look at the width. Hit enter, and the width simply means the wideness of this. And let me use 80 pixel, for example. This is just to cite an example. Then for height, let me use 100 pixel. Now when I indicate that, let me remove this so that we can see our bed properly. Then you save this file, then go back to our HTML web page. And now we could see formerly it's filled the entire place, but now we could see that it's just here in a small picture. And if I want to add up this, let me just make this 280 and make this let me say 300. Let me make this 300. Coming back to our web page, we could see now this has increased. So this is how you can actually increase an image on a web page, or the size, the width and the height of our image on the web page. So I believe that this is clear enough. In the next lesson, we'll be looking at some of the HTML elements. Thank you. My name is Prosper, and I'll see you in the next lesson.